And then we're talking. Okay. Hi, this is Adelaide.
This is Jada.
This is Aaliyah.
This is Benny.
And this is What the Hell is Going On? And today we're going to be talking about private prisons and prison reform, and Aaliyah is going to be talking about global warming and climate change. So I'm going to get us started. So private prisons are prisons that are funded by private companies, obviously, and they're used to house overflow inmates from the public prisons that are funded by taxpayers and the government. These private prisons are typically based in debt-ridden economies that will temporarily benefit the economy until these inmates are released and they can't work anywhere, and no one wants to run a business that's by a prison where there's all these quote-unquote dangerous people and, you know, whatever you want to picture in your head about inmates. And the issue with these private prisons is that they don't care about the recidivism rates and reoffending rates and the rehabilitation of the inmates that they're supposedly trying to keep from the public so that we're not, you know, in danger all the time. I don't remember what I was saying. Recidivism rates. Oh well, did it? Ask a question.
So does that mean that private prisons are built just to make money?
Yeah, these private companies are for-profit companies that have no stake in whether or not these inmates are rehabilitated, because as long as they have inmates in the prison, they're still making money, and they're using that money and cutting corners wherever they can to make money, rather than spending the money like in public prisons where they stretch the dollar as far as they can and provide as much as they can for the inmate, even though it's not really something.
But shouldn't these dangerous people like be in prison and not just roaming around everyday citizens?
Yes, the people who are actually dangerous should be in prison. I don't think that my issue is not with people who are dangerous in prison. I think that they should be focused on those people, and the people who have addictions and minor offenses like, you know, an ounce of marijuana possession having like a life sentence shouldn't be. Those aren't the people I'm concerned about. They're not a danger to society. It's the people, but they're used to like overflow the prisons, and that's where that money comes from, and that's why they build them, because they've created these Rockefeller drug laws and other laws.
Tying into global warming, we have the Green New Deal. But speaking of taxes, that has everyone upset because they feel like their tax dollars will be going towards funding it, and how it's crazy expensive. But actually, it's one of the best solutions that will clear the world of pollutants and cut back on the greenhouse gas effect. And what global warming is a long-term rise in average temperatures of the Earth and climate, and having to do with climate change. Global warming and climate change, those are synonyms, and so they can be intertwined. And greenhouse gases right now are the highest that they've been in thousands of years, which I think is insane, because it shows that humans really are the cause of a lot of global issues that we see today. Like, some believe that it's just a natural process that the earth deals with, but that's not the truth. Like, yes, the earth does naturally heat and cool, but we have all these big companies that have sewage drains going into the ocean, and then all the pollutants going into the air. Yes, you're going to see problems with the rising temperature, and just because it's cold where you live doesn't mean that the earth isn't warming.
So how does America contribute to global warming?
America makes up about 4% of the world's population, but we produce 25% of the world's waste and carbon pollution from burning fossil fuels. And so the reason that's the reason that America is one of the biggest contributors to global warming, is because of that. Like, we're so small, but we produce so much. But it also comes back to that America's so quick to point the finger at other countries instead of realizing, okay, we're overproducing things and it's killing the environment. We need to start thinking about laws and ways to clean up the planet, and not just. They also contribute. I think it has to end up being a global thing, and everyone take part and own up to what they've done.
How do we stop global warming if it's already affected us so badly?
You can never really stop global warming because, like I said, to a certain extent, it's a natural process that the Earth goes through. But you can't stop it, but you can stop it from getting worse by cutting back on how much plastic you use or the way you dispose of your garbage. Like little things like that will make a difference in the long run if everyone just sticks to that lifestyle. And then another thing that I feel is one of the main problems of global warming has to do with overpopulation. And I wanted to ask you guys this question that has been coming up a lot to do with global warming and population is, do you guys believe that the government should place regulations on how many kids people can have per household?
I think that when you're considering the fate of the entire human race and our entire future, our existence could be wiped out potentially if we don't do something about global warming or climate change or whatever you want to call it. I don't think that telling someone that they can only have 1 or 2 children is that, for a period of time, is that big of a deal, because it's just so many people. Like China did that China did it in a really massive scale and it was really not great. And I think they still practice it, right?
Yeah.
But I think as long as you can't have 50 billion children, you have to keep it to a reasonable number, 3 maximum maybe, for a period of time. I don't think that would be terrible. But, people hate being told what to do, especially in America, with the land of the free.
I feel like there's 2 sides to it, of course. I'm kind of in the middle, but truthfully, I kind of lean towards the side of population control, because the harsh reality that none of us want to accept is that there's only so much space here, and we can't all continue to just keep repopulating and having the same type of comfortable lifestyles we all want to live. And I think nobody wants to accept that, or at least move off that truth, in the sense that if we keep on building neighborhoods for all these, growing families, and people want to keep living in these big, luxurious, comfortable houses, we're not going to have any space. So I think in the sense of telling someone that they can only have limit the children they can have, it's fair in the sense of keeping the system running for the future generations. But there's always 2 sides to it. Like some people have just moral beliefs that they don't want to be told what to do, and I respect that. What do you think, Jada?
I personally think that people should not be told how many children they should have. But I do understand the purpose of it, of trying to lessen the amount of pollution and global warming. But I don't believe that people should be told how many kids they should have, because I just believe that it's more of a personal thing. I just feel like people should have as many kids as they want, as long as they can
Provide.
as long as they can provide for the children.
I think that
Good.
I think that the Duggars are a really they're a bad example of having an excess amount of children. They have 19 children.
Who?
And the Duggars, that
Maybe
TLC
20
family.
now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And a lot of that baby is not healthy. The youngest baby is not healthy. But they couldn't afford to live the way that they live, so they got a reality show so that they could expand. But it was their religious
That's
their religious
fucking America for
choice.
you.
Yeah. But I don't think that. I think that they're a very extreme case where they had to abuse the system and get money from people just to afford feeding 20 children, which is that's just an insane amount of people. So I don't think that
That's funny.
I think if you have 20 children, that should be a little you should rein it in a little bit. But yeah.
I also feel like the government has other ways of controlling the population, such as for the cure of cancer or AIDS and HIV. I'm pretty sure there is a cure, but I've heard
100%.
Rumors that they're keeping that cure in order to control the population, because those are chronic illnesses and people will die from them eventually. So I feel like if they're not giving the cure, then people will die and it will control the population.
I feel like it's just not doing it on the scale that they want it to. You know what I mean?
Because you still need people to buy your products, and you still need people to feed into your what is it called, capitalistic mindset or whatever. So you can't just wipe out the whole human race. You have to do it, I guess, piece by piece. But for the global warming like aspect of it, I don't think that them keeping the cure for cancer is going to end up helping us clean up the environment. I do believe that to a certain extent, like you said, like them having 20 kids, that is crazy. Because you got to think about like all the waste they produce, like because they're not living off their farm and just eating fruits and vegetables, like they're buying iPhones and driving cars and stuff like that. And so like each kid having a car, like that's insane of how much pollutant that is for the planet within itself.
And they all have names that start with J.
Yeah, Josiah,
Have they run out of do they not run out of names? Like
There's a
not
lot
that
of
many names.
there's a
They
lot of
get it from-
biblical names.
Yeah, so they get it from the Bible.
It's a very religious family, and
yeah, it is. But
Ooh, go off then.
the T for that family, the oldest brother was
Was the
molesting the
younger
sister.
kid.
it's
Yeah.
incestuous. It's like
Yeah.
What the?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
they went, yes.
What the?
Yeah,
fuck?
that's
Crazy.
that's a whole other discussion to
Yeah.
have.
And
It was him and like,
Yeah,
the oldest brother was molesting his sisters.
All 15 of them.
What race
Yeah,
is this
it was
family?
him.
I already know.
Yeah.
What do you mean, what race? They're white.
Oh,
God.
It
of
was
course it's
that
him.
one.
Damn.
The one who's like,
And he's married and everything, and that came out. That came out whenever he was like married with kids.
But then-
so his wife like saved him.
It's just funny because like people like that, like he was like preaching about like how being gay is wrong and how abortion is a crime against God. But I guess molesting your sisters, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Gross.
yeah, as
bro,
long as
what
you
the
keep it in the
fuck?
family. It's
Yeah.
I'm
fine.
surprised you haven't heard of them. I used to
I
watch
haven't
their
heard
show.
of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I used to
Just
it was
to
like a
see,
trash watch or whatever it's called. It'd be
Binge
so
watch?
bad. I was like, it's like trap, like when you watch something that's like a guilty pleasure.
Oh yeah.
It's like one of those like ones that you're like, this
For
is just
sure.
garbage. I'm just
So just
Anyway.
just to end my thing on global warming, the last thing I'm going to talk about is like the EPA, and they're the agency that's supposed to protect the environment, and they also come up with laws that they think need to be placed, and they send them like through Congress or whatever. But the terrible thing about the laws that they come up with, companies can either pay a fine or change the way that they produce. And more than likely, if you're a big company like Amazon, you'd rather pay a $10,000 fine than have to change the way you're producing your products, because that would be more money lost than you paying that fine. And so I just want to know what you guys like feel about that, like them having to pay fines, or should they just have to change the way they do things right then and there?
I think they should have to change it right away, because if you think about, like you said, Amazon, $10,000 to Jeff Bezos is like $1 to us. You know,
that's chump change. There's
like literally
so
like
much money.
$10,000. You're just like whatever. You have one of his assistants write the check. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you don't give a fuck. So I think we should like put some type of more stern like regulation to make them like have to change how they're moving.
I think that like whenever people talk about like the plastic straws, like people are like, it's in the turtles' noses. That was like what was it, like 0.025% of the like plastic waste. But these like there's like 3 companies or something that produce like most most like pollution or something like that. There's some like weird number, but like those companies, they just have the money to just be like, oh well, fuck it, like we're gonna die in like 20 years, so like we don't care about the future. Like as long as we make our money and buy our hookers and our expensive properties and our cars, like we don't care about the rest of the
Ooh.
world.
Just being like selfish and
Yeah,
about
it's
what's
just
going on
about
around.
money. It's
Mhm.
not about they don't care about like they couldn't care less about the quality of what they're producing as
Mhm.
long as
Yeah.
they get it out and make their profit. They
Profit.
don't give a
Exactly.
shit.
Exactly.
And I feel like, sorry, you
We're
go
gonna get
ahead.
off
Profit
Competitive.
is just the main focus. The most important thing in America is profit,
Right, it's a
making money.
business.
I love capitalism. It's so fucking great.
Yeah, forget the planet that we live
Yeah,
on.
Right.
and
My-
like one thing
My,
I just thought of is
Hollow
like
Earth. I don't care.
what some people that like are opposed fixing global warming, or I don't even know who this group would identify themselves as, but like people, they're like, well, it's more expensive to
Fix the
live.
problem.
Yeah, they're like, it's more expensive. Like this thing with the
It's
straws.
harder. It's
like,
just harder.
There's like some straw companies that sell those like more eco-friendly straws for
Like
like
reusable
$30.
ones.
yeah.
Yeah, like the stainless. I bought like a pack of like like bamboo like utensils and a straw. It was like $5.
Did it come in plastic?
Yeah, it was from
Yeah.
Amazon and it came in a box and I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell? There's a book where he's like, we had to stop using plastic and like they shipped the book wrapped in plastic. Like,
Yeah.
But-
Because
It's
humans
true.
have been so conditioned to think that plastic keeps things from getting dirty or like I guess it keeps it sterile, but that's
Right.
not always the case. Like, do you know where that plastic came from? Like, it
It's
could have came from
gross.
like a dusty warehouse. So just
like
because it's
Diet
wrapped in
Coke, like
plastic,
drinking out of a can, like there's
Yeah.
like rat shit on there
Yeah.
half the time. But because it comes in a box, because
Yeah.
it comes
I
in a
don't drink
container.
Diet Coke though.
Well, like just like
I didn't even
can.
say
I just said
Diet
Diet
Coke.
Coke because my mom
Wait,
drinks Diet
He's
Coke.
like-
Do any of y'all drink Diet Coke?
No, it's
You-
nasty.
Aspartame.
That's what I'm
causes
saying.
cancer.
Yeah, it gets
Yeah.
cancer. That's why I don't drink that shit.
Well, I just mean like canned like
Wait, did you say Diet
Cans.
Coke or Coke in general?
Diet
Diet Coke. Aspartame is like just like the sweetener that they use. Aspartame
Mhm.
is like carcinogenous. Is that the
Yeah,
word?
it's very unhealthy.
but the way that
I tell my
I
mom that too. She loves Diet Coke.
My mom too.
Stop drinking that shit. Man.
I told her and she's like, "That's not true," and I was like,
I slap her and shit.
the way I want to end the topic of global warming, I feel like change will not be made unless we come together as a globe and sit down and talk about it, and not just talk about money and actually talk about the well-being of us as a human race. Then we will probably start to see change. But for now, I think the only thing you can do is make small steps in your everyday lifestyle to make change.
Boom.
"Damn,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
a goddamn mic
Yes,
drop."
yeah. I'm like, go. Yeah. Nice little monologue to end it.